Hello, friends. This is Dr. Shashi Agarwal. I welcome you all. Hoping you all are enjoying, safe, and healthy. Today, our topic is a concept of money supply, in which we are going to understand what are the various layers of money supply. And this topic is quite relevant for the students of CA Inter who are studying economics or finance. It is also relevant for the students who are preparing for various competitive exams like UPSC. It's also relevant for UGC Net Economics. It is also relevant for the student of money banking. And this lecture is also available in Hindi at my second channel, that is the Shashi Agarwal Economics and Law classes. So if you find my video useful, please do like this video, subscribe my channel and share this video. Before understanding the concept of the mayor of money supply, this is my app, Addism app, which is relevant for the students of economics, commerce, and management. Various courses regarding commerce, economics, and management have been uploaded at this my app. This is my WhatsApp number 79731 The link of the app and the link of the courses I will be sharing in the description box. Economics for Finance has also been uploaded at this app. The methodology is through live lectures, recorded lectures, descriptive as well as summarized notes. Doubt session will be there and test series will be there. So these are the alternative layers of money supply which are used by RBI in India, M1, M2, M3, M4. From July 1935 till 67, RBI used to publish M1 for measuring the money supply, and then aggregate monetary sources was additionally published by RBI during 67 to 77. AMR is a broader measure of money, which includes, along with M1, time deposits of the public. From April 1977 till now, these are the four alternative measures which are used by the Reserve Bank of India, M1, M2, M3, M4. So here we are going to understand the concept of M1. This is the narrow concept of money supply. M1 includes currency with the public, demand deposit with the people and the commercial banks, and the other deposits with the RBI. So other deposit with the RBI covers demand deposit with the Reserve Bank of public financial institutions like Lombard, demand deposit with the RBI of foreign central banks and governments, demand deposit of international financial institutions like IMF and World Bank. So M1 जो है, that is the most commonly used measure for money supply, because its component they are regarded as the most liquid assets. Liquid asset means which could be used for making transaction, day-to-day transactions. It is also known as a transaction money. It can be directly used for making transaction. So M1 covers the C, that is the currency, plus DD, that is the demand deposits, net demand deposits, and the OD means the other deposits. C covers currency notes and coins which are held by the public. DD is demand deposits. It's a checkable deposits like current account, saving account, in which the people used to deposit their saving. In the current account, we don't get any interest that is used by the businessman. And the saving account, we get low rate of interest. Only net demand deposits, they are included in the money supply. It exclude interbanks claims. Other deposits, which include deposit of public financial institutions, foreign central banks, foreign governments, international financial institutions with RBI, but does not include deposit of Indian banking system or government with the Reserve Bank of India. In M1, we cover the net demand deposit. We don't cover the gross demand deposit, which include interbanking claims. So it exclude interbanking claims for the mayor M1. Under M1, Currency with public is included. Demand deposit in all banks, current account and saving account is included. Other deposits with RBI is also included, but it does not include the India's deposit with IMF, World Bank and the foreign government. Deposits of the Indian banking system, Indian government with RBI, that is also excluded. Interbank deposit is also excluded. So M2 is a more broader than the M1. In addition to M1, it also includes saving deposit with the post office saving bank. Saving deposit were not included in the demand deposit because they are not liquid as demand deposit. So they could not be withdrawn by check. But under the concept of M2, we cover M1 and also saving deposit with the post office saving bank account. So it is broader than the M1. M3 Mayor it is wider as compared to M1 because it includes net time deposits. Time deposits, these are the FDRs which we are having with bank, like it could be 1 year, it could be 6 months, it could be 2 years, it could be 3 years. So M3 is equal to M1 plus net time deposit with the banking system. Time deposit, because here we are depositing the money for some specific time period. So time deposits serve as a store value. They're not liquid as they cannot be withdrawn through check. But loan could be taken against these time deposits, and we could have the premature time deposits by sacrificing some interest earned on them. So it has M3 has become a popular Mayor which is widely used. M4 Mayor include total deposit with post office saving bank in addition to M3, but it exclude national savings certificate, that is not excluded. So it's a broader Mayor. M3 plus total deposit with the post office saving organization, but does not cover the national saving certificates. Money supply represents, now we are clear with the all the mayors of money supply. M1, M2, M3, M4 represents the different degrees of liquidity with descending order of liquidity. M1 being the most liquid asset, M2 less than M1, M3 less than M1 and M2. M4 being the most least liquid. M3 is widely used as a measure of money supply. It is also known as the aggregate money sources. M1 and M2 are generally known as a narrow money supply concepts. M3, M4 are known as a broad money supply concepts. New monetary aggregates. The RBI has stated publishing a set of 4 new monetary aggregates following the recommendation of the working group on Monday, 98. These aggregates are published on the basis of balance sheet of the banking sector, but they should conform with the norms of progressive liquidity. So these are the reserve money, which is denoted by NM0, NM1 narrow money, NM2 intermediate money, NM3 broad money, which is based, these all concepts, they are based on residency concepts. What are the features of monetary aggregates? There's no unique definition of money, but the working group for the policy purpose has defined money as a set of financial aggregates whose variation could impact the overall economic activities. So new aggregates, they are based on the residence criteria. It should conform with the recommendation obtained in Monetary and Financial Statistics Manual of the IMF. Non-resident foreign currency deposits, on the basis of these norms, non-resident foreign currency deposits have been excluded from the monetary aggregates, but non-resident rupee denominated deposits, they are the part of the monetary aggregate. Definition of bank credit was broader. It includes the non-statutory liquidity reserve investment in securities such as the commercial papers, shares, debentures which are issued by the commercial sector besides the conventional bank credit. Foreign currency liability of the bank have also been identified. A capital account consisting of capital and reserve and revaluation has been separately identified. On the basis of working group has recommended the introduction of the liquidity aggregates. Postal deposit, they have been excluded from the monetary aggregate, and they are now part of the liquidity aggregates. The deposit liability of non-banking financial institutions are not monetary assets, but they are made a part of the broader liquidity assets. The monetary aggregates were differentiated from the liquidity asset, not on the basis of the instrument, but they are differentiated on the basis of nature and function of the institution who issue them. So reserve money, which is denoted by NM0, it is also called high-powered money, base money, and central bank money. It represents the base level for the money supply. There are different forms of money supply under this approach: reserve money, narrow money, broad money. But the most important indicator is the reserve money, because the base of other money is derived from the reserve money. Narrow money and broad money depend upon the volume of the reserve money. So reserve money is equal to currency in circulation plus bankers deposit with the RBI and other deposit with the Reserve Bank of India. Net RBI credit to the government plus RBI credit to the commercial sector, RBI claim on banks, RBI's net foreign asset plus government's currency liability to the public minus RBI's net non-monetary liabilities. So this is the reserve money. Reserve money occupies the important significant position in the RBI monetary policy because it decides the level of liquidity and the price level in the economy. And it's very important to manage the liquidity and the price level in the economy to bring the stability in the economy. So what is the difference between the M1 and the reserve money? M1 and the reserve money is that M1 includes demand deposit, but reserve money includes the cash reserve of the banks. NM1 includes the currency with the public plus demand deposit with the banking system plus other deposits with the RBI. NM2 covers NM1 plus short-term deposits of the resident, including up to contractual maturity up to 1 year. NM3 covers NM2 plus long-term deposit of the resident plus call or term funding from the financial institutions. So liquidity aggregates along with the monetary aggregates, these are also prepared and evaluated to judge the proper assessment of the liquidity. Instruments which are issued by the banking system, they are also included in the money instrument because they are the close substitute of money. Even the instruments which are issued by the non-banking financial institutions, they are also included in the liquidity aggregates. Aggregate liquidity refer to the ease of execution of financial transaction of everyone in the entire market, which is highly dependent upon the availability of credit in the market and the size of money supply in the country. Liquidity aggregate measures the liquidity concept in the economy. If the business, they want to start some venture, are they getting the sufficient credit or not? That is checked by the Reserve Bank of India. So liquidity aggregate has a major effect on the market condition, whether the liquidity is available in abundance or available in shortage. So the RBI has to frame out the suitable policy to bring liquidity in the economy, to manage the liquidity. So liquidity aggregate covers the L1, which is equal to NM3, plus all deposit with the post office saving bank, but not covering the national savings certificates. L2, which is equal to L1 plus term deposit with the term lending institution and the refinancing institution plus the term borrowing by FIS plus the certificate of deposits which are issued by the FIS. L3, which covers the L2 plus public deposit of non-banking financial companies. And the rest we will cover in the other third video